Hello, friends. Here we are. Oh, that ain't gonna work. Let me do. That ain't gonna work either. Let's do this. Okay. StreamYard changed 5 things in the last week, and I'm still learning them. Anyway, we're happy to be here with Heidi Popp. Heidi has been on our radar for a while, and she decided to come on with us. Heidi is a solution-based wayshower, currently in LA. She's an experiencer since childhood. She's participated in the disclosure communities for decades. Tell us about it. Her passion is for entertainment. Passion for entertainment took her through 30 successful years in the motion picture industry. Her career and successful small business allowed her to find the others within Hollywood. Eventually, she began hosting gatherings, workshops, and events for fellow like minds and experiencers. As of March 2020, she officially walked away from the film set life to focus on her children. She currently is a lead educator at a learning enrichment center for homeschoolers in LA. Heidi's daily mission, when offline, is guiding our youth and protecting our future. She can be found interviewing fellow wayshowers and building community on her multiple podcasts and blogs. And with that, we want to welcome Heidi Popp to our audience, and happy to have you here, superstar. Tell us all about you.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me. And you've been on my radar too. So got to talk to you next. We'll flip it around next time.
There we go.
Yeah, I'm grateful to be here. I'm a big fan of the paranormal, have been since a little girl, and now it's just all about integrating everything and finding the communities, sharing our experiences, and yeah, building those communities. And I really guard children now. I'm a guardian of children. I'm not just my own, but others. And we're really finding the others within the children realm too, and protecting their light and their spirit, and also normalizing the paranormal for them too. So, I was fortunate to have a mom who didn't shush me when I was young and had questions and experience, and just always kept me in not necessarily a dream fantasy state, but a what if state. And, maybe what you're picking up on is something else. So, I'm just kind of trying to tap into those clairs currently. That's my current mission.
That's it.
And
That's it. So yeah, my mom told me all about the savant-like things that happened to me that I didn't remember, but she and her friends remembered it. So I had to learn about it from her, and she was very impactful on me.
Yeah, it's important. It's important to have an elder, or, even if it's not a parent, but an adult, to tell a child you're not crazy. And,
Right.
you know, and this is a gift, something everybody has, but not everyone can has tapped into it yet. So it's kind of it's exciting. I think it's exciting. It's more community build. Yeah, there's me. There's my channel.
You were here, so I gotta say you were here.
I like to say it's everybody can cook, but not everybody's a chef. There you go. That's my.
I love that. Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, I always like that. Well, two of my favorite questions are: what were some of the first experiences you've had, whether it's paranormal or otherworldly, or, and then my other question later on is, what's the freakiest experience you've ever had, or someone you knew who had an extreme experience? Because we've had a lot of weird stuff, so I like to hear everybody's.
Ah, those are good ones. I think, yeah, from where my memory starts, it takes me in the Pacific Northwest, where I spent some of my childhood in Portland, Oregon. And that's when I started experiencing little orbs in my backyard. And, I had the orb encounters, and I just thought everybody did. So to me, everything was just like every day. And just I hung out with those, and I felt positive around them. I always felt positive, something positive in the forest, in the woods. We happened to live on the edge, looking into Portland City. Actually, our view is Mount St. Helens, so I saw that erupt.
Wow.
But in the background was just the mountains. So I would just crawl up there and make little nooks everywhere, and make little tree houses, and hang out. And I felt most comfortable in that scenario. There was also a weekend where we'd spend a lot of our times just exploring, because it's such gorgeous terrain. I was very fortunate to have parents who appreciate a good view and, natural sights. So there was one experience of driving to Cannon Beach, going to the coast. And that's when I swore, I still to this day I saw a Sasquatch, and I had this experience with one, which was like a time loss and like frozen time, and it was a high vibratory experience though, nothing fear. And again, I was a child, so there was not much to compare things to, but I really had this like, oh wow, multidimensional being, because my mom later told, oh, you're fortunate, some poked out of this dimension for you to have the opportunity to see them. Must have, one of those things. So I held on to that. I didn't push it away. However, when I was 11, we moved back to the Midwest where I was born, and we would go between Door County, Wisconsin, which is the peninsula, it's this here, and UFO hotspot. We go between there and Chicago. Had like a summer home, holiday home. And that's when around 13, 14, I started having really scary experiences, probably the big traumatic ones, like dark, shadowy figures in the door and in the room, and sleep paralysis and white lightning. And my mom was having experience too. She was she had contact with craft. She had like full day memory loss or time loss. Just had some tricky things happen. And that's when we were on the water, but anytime I went somewhere in the woods, it felt like I was somewhere else, and I didn't feel safe. I didn't feel good there in those times. So that was kind of sketch. there was a beautiful encounter in Chicago though, when I was around maybe 15, 16. And that was during the school year when we would stay down there. And in my room, I caught myself waking up, but I was like just a few inches off the ground, not on the ground. And I was floating up and getting put back in my bed. And I remember I was totally at peace though. And I remember my room was filled with like silver blue light. And all I remember, because everybody just kept saying, thank you, thank you. Okay, thank you. I guess I'm going back to bed. But everything came to a head from like a silvery bluish orby ball, which could make it like a figure, angelic. It felt more angelic and sweet and peaceful. And so that was a neat one. And then I moved to the West Coast here in Los Angeles in 2000. And, I was late 20s, I've had just life experience happen. And it wasn't until I became a mom in 2010, was my daughter was born, that I really started uncovering these layers, secret space programs and dark op programs, and where the multidimensional went to, it got, you could just see how everything gets hijacked. And I was getting leery trusting on these energies that I was putting out there. You are in the land of LA too. So I did have some experience. My point, I got really dark then. I was studying all the dark stuff, even what's running, not just Hollywood, but the Vatican, the royals. I was going down every rabbit hole you could think of. I was also drinking like crazy, which I don't do anymore. And everything was just a dark place for me. And I was trying to protect my kids. Well, come to find out, when my second was born in 2013, for his first 3 years, he was having night terrors. I couldn't wake him up. His first words were like being scared of the lizards in his room. And he would occasionally he'd just freak out and he'd point to an area that we couldn't see. And he's like, something scared me. And he was like trying to tell us. He had a very severe tongue tie. So he was less word and more expression. So I knew something was wrong. So I started contacting other friends, or I started getting to know people that worked with this kind of energy, clearing it. Clearing it. My son's walking around the corner right now, like, why are you telling me this?
Hello. Hey, buddy.
They're saying howdy. So I have a friend. Yeah, we moved out of an apartment. We went into a rental house. She would see when I'd start these gatherings, some people would come in with shadows behind them. And I was a single mom at the time, and she kept clearing the house. She's like, you might have to move. There's some energy. You got to stop just letting everybody in. And she's telling me how to, grid the mirrors, cut the mirror portals. She's like, there's too much activity and they're coming for your kids. And so I just cracked the whip. I sobered up. I did all the everything I could get my hands on for taking care of myself, my field, my energy.
Congratulations, by the way, for being sober.
Yeah. I went teetotal a few years ago, so it's really a big deal.
Yeah. Totally a big deal. So I really find myself working with frequency and vibration, and I've seen the darkest of the dark. So those are probably the scary, traumatic stuff, and seen that dark, but I've seen the blissful highs from it too. I spent time at Esetti Ranch, night goggles, contact all night. Heard, almost ran into Junior the Sasquatch. Like these experiences were happening then in my 40s, and I'm like, okay, I am supposed to be in this community. So I'm trying to find the highest vibratory way to navigate it all, and finding all these like minds has been very helpful. Yeah.
That's good. It's hard. It is hard for people like us to find lighthearted individuals, because I feel as though sometimes we're a target to,
Yes.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's good. I mean, I think it's interesting that you actually, first of all, I've never seen Bigfoot. I kind of want to. I'm a little scared it's going to be werewolfy, and I'm terrified of werewolves. But anyway, but I think it's interesting that you got to see a little bit of everything, so they like your energy. That's nice.
You know what's fascinating to me, Heidi, is she's had every kind of thing you can imagine. So let's call 2 dozen, and 3 of them she's afraid of.
Oh. There's always something. I'm afraid of cliffs. That's a past life thing, I think. But I always feel like I'm gonna be flung off. That's my thing. But as far as so the stuff that happening in the 2000s now, like you said, he was 2020, and then Grafton 2021 was, or was it 2022? 2021. That was more orbs again. And, I was just like, okay, I am asking now for these experiences with the protection in place. And it's more of too, like with ancestors, just feeling the protection, feeling your team. And now I get to teach kids that. So we did this whole learning block on our ancestors and family tree and guardians and how far back, like thousands of years, like past lives. And so, and I'm just taking them to the here and now. And I go, but all that matters, and all that's a part of you. And they're all just walking around a little like, shoulders like, yeah, I got a team. It's kind of fun.
So when somebody wants to get me, they ring my left ear like you wouldn't believe.
Oh boy.
And her too.
Okay. I was wondering about those ear ringings. Yeah.
Oh yeah. It drives me nuts sometimes. My dad is a little loud still to this day. Anyway.
He just shows up in the middle of the night, walks up to the end of the bed, gives me a stare, makes sure I'm behaving, and then vanishes.
That's great.
My question is, how do you go back all those years to find ancestors? What is your process for that?
Well, with the class or myself? Like I think with
both, either way.
with the
both. Yeah, tell us about both.
Sure. With the class, I called it the Family Tree Project, and it was really getting, and the parents were thanking me because it kind of bonded them too. It brought them back to do something together, and it made them go down some doors they haven't in a while, or talk to some relatives they hadn't in a while. So it's really starting with your parents and your siblings, and just inching yourself backwards. I found great interest in it because when my son did it the year before, we hit a roadblock, and that was my grandpa. And my grandpa was my dad's dad. My dad had passed. Most of my dad's side has passed. And my grandpa used to tease me and say, "Oh, we're part Cherokee." And he'd just wink. And I was fascinated. And all the relatives were like, "He's drinking. He's just making fun. He's not, But when we're doing my son's family tree, we couldn't find anything past him really. And so, and he looks the part. And so I just got excited telling the kids, it's not about computers, and definitely not about surrendering your DNA or anything. It's just about conversation with elders and having them unlock memories. And some of them came back with some beautiful memories, scary memories. There was a child who found out one of her relatives, like in the 1800s, was trafficked, like 1800s in the Middle East. And they wound up finding her. A relative found her like a couple years later. And so the little girl's story is like, had they not found her in that Turkish bathhouse, I wouldn't have been here, So it's just conversation with elders. And it's more of dot connecting. So it took them quite some time. And I asked for that. I go, just take your time and open up those calls. One of the boys, his mom, we never knew she was adopted. So she said it made me like kind of pull up my pants a little bit and make those an interesting call. And now she just opened up a whole world of a whole another side of the family that had always wondered who she was.
Yeah.
So she was like in tears giving gratitude. So I guess it's really just about the conversation. I did ask them to look into the countries they come from, because with our 19 kids, we were over 50 plus countries, and I go,
Wow.
and I just trying to show them that that's an energy grid. We are now just mapped a beautiful grid across the world. And your little geopoint here and your little 10-year-old body is
Yeah.
like a beacon right now for that huge grid and all concepts they get. So it was really in that way. It's, kind of keeping it like that.
I think that's neat. I mean, I would have never even thought to do something like that. So it's smart, actually.
It's
And
really
especially for
special.
kids to
Yeah.
do that. Yeah.
Yeah. There was there was a little girl who's very quiet in class, but she has an incredible singing voice. And she's craving to perform, but she's deathly shy. And they all gave little presentations for this project. And I asked family to come in if they wanted to and do a show and tell and bring in a food item. But the little girl came in solo and she did it. And we like applauded. We're like, that was beautiful. Thanks for sharing. And she got a little brave. And I asked her, I go, did you notice that a lot of the women of your family that have crossed over, they're artists, like they're singers, and she was just like, and I go, maybe a little bit of that is in you trying to come out. And what an honor to be able to sing for them in this body. And she's
Oh
like,
yeah.
yeah, she's louder. She speaks up more. She's more confident. It was really, really sweet. You can always turn little bits into a lesson.
I kind of never understood how important all of them were until
Yeah.
I saw the impact of her ability to interact with the deceased. And now
Wow.
it's almost a daily experience where somebody wants her
Wow.
to talk to the deceased, and she came out of a very dark place by doing that to help others not feel what she was feeling.
Oh, wow. That's incredible, Lala. Yeah, and you said the key things, helping others. I think that's the point, is to help others with what you have. Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow.
What got you started with the classes and the homeschooling?
Sure. Well, when I was in Chicago, I went to university, and I was originally in theater because I have always liked entertainment and the arts and stuff. And I got accepted to the theater school there as an actor. But I started, and it was a conservatory, which means you don't go on stage till you're a senior. And I already had an agent. I was already kind of booking commercials. So I was like,
Nice.
I can't wait that long. So my parents are like, you got into this place, I wouldn't have with my grades alone. I had to audition. They go, try to transfer into something and get something for your back pocket. They still thought you needed a degree in your back pocket. I don't really think that way anymore. So anyway, I'm like, well, I love kids. I've been a babysitter since I was like 14. I'll go, what? I'll go into teaching, I'll get a teaching degree. So I went into the School of Education, and I had a tough time even with that. I just had a tough time in school with the talking heads. So, but I knew, I have a connection with kids, just put me in the classroom. So I learned all of the information. I got my degree. You do these case studies. You're out in the public schools. You have to get your hours. And I dreamt of being in that old Chicago schoolhouse, cooking my heels down the hall in the lockers, but things were shifting. And by the time I graduated, I was busy kind of booking commercials, but I wound up going into a school, and this is when pharma was getting introduced. And I started watching some lights go out, and I wasn't ready for that. I was like, this isn't what I signed up for. I wanted to just just be that guardian and light for them. And so something was kind of just pulling me out. So I went full into entertainment. That was until 2000, until I moved out here. I was always teaching. I had one foot in a private school, and I had preschool class, and I had a kindergarten class, and I was a sub until first through fifth grade. And I did that because they let me audition. So I was like in and out of those worlds. I was a nanny. I did all that stuff. So I put it aside when I moved here. Or I shouldn't say that. Right when I moved here, I did take the state test to be a substitute, but I, just like waitressing, I didn't want to be stuck somewhere.
Yeah.
So I took all the odd jobs, and that's how I wound up building my career. Is just I went in, I started working on studio lots, and I just put the kid thing to the side. But it was March 2020, and I left the industry. It closed down only for like a month, and then they were deemed essential. And I had my two kids, and I really didn't put them in a regular school either. When my daughter was with me till she was 6, and then I told my mom, I go, we were in North Hollywood at the time, and I'm like, I'm not sending her to these schools. I go, this is nothing.
No.
You know,
Right.
I was
Yeah.
like, my mom's like, well, have you ever heard of Waldorf? It's Rudolf Steiner. It's very, much our thing. And I'm like, no. And I go, they never taught me that at university in all 4 years. I never heard about like Waldorf or Montessori or anything alternative in that sense. So I found an open house, and I got my daughter enrolled in kindergarten. And then my son followed suit, and he got right in at the end. He was grandfathered in earlier than I wanted him to be, but there were laws changing out here, the mandates and medical mandates. And it was like, once you're in, you're kind of in that school, you can't leave, because my choices went to like nothing because we didn't adhere to the medical mandates of all the requirements. So I felt safe enough. And by then I was really working full time. Well, not physically gone full time, but I was running a business, and I was on set maybe 8-10 days a month, but those set days are like 18-hour days. So I had a community that helped me with my kids, and that school was a safe place. But when we shut down, they wound up following all the mandates, and like they wound up, aligning with things that I don't align with. I did not fall for the fear. In fact, I hosted a lot of parties during that time. That's how I started a backyard pod. Although I hired a teacher for that, someone that left our school too, that didn't believe in how they were doing things. And it went on for a little while, but I'm even watching going, well, why don't we add meditation? Why don't we add like crystal work and gridding and qigong, and let's add some of the woo. And I'm like, well, I could do this too. And so it was through my community that someone said, by the way, we know a place that really kind of didn't close. Like, they're sovereign. They believe in sovereign civilians of free will. They're connected to the heart and the will of the child, the spirit and the soul. And I'm like, gosh, this is up my alley. I've never heard of it. And we wound up joining there 2021. I was home with my kids until then. And that's where I put my kids there for a year. I wound up co-hosting the show Raising Starseeds. And then when that was over, I went to when the next year said, I asked them, I go, can I help? Tuition was also, I'm like, how can I bump my tuition down? What can I do here?
For real. Yeah.
And I assisted. And then before the year was up of assisting, they're like, you need your own class. Like, you're doing what we're looking for. And I go, really? And parents were on board. And so last year I started with a class outside, and I had my own class in the outdoor classroom, and I built it all, and it was beautiful. Brought in all the animal, brought in my elementals, made little fairy house. Like, we were one with nature. It was really cool. It was survival, but it was really cool. And those kids grew with me this year. I have the same kids. They're going to be with me all the way till they're 8th graders. And so I grow with them. And then I had a few new ones come in. So I have one of the biggest classes there, and now we're inside. And yeah, that's how I came into it. So I've really only been there full-time as a full-time, well, it's 4 days a week, early child or educator for 2 years, but I was an assist a year before that. So I had like a 20-year gap of teaching that, but I just fell right into it because it's a new earth teaching to me. This is a new earth way of doing things. It's not a state-run school. It's not even a school. We call it an enrichment center. And it's beautiful. It's been a beautiful ride. And my daughter will be graduating there this year. So we don't know what high school is going to look like. Our choices are very limited. So I'm going
to ask if you should make a high school. My son's just started high school, and my mom was a teacher, and what you're talking about, I wish he could go to, it's very needed. Sorry.
It's needed.
No, you're good. You're good. I just would ask the question. So dealing with starseed children that don't know their starseed children, how do you go about prepping them for the information?
I personally just think every child is a starseed. Every child is coming in with purpose and with gifts. So it's really just treating them like the divine sovereign light beings they are and mirroring them. So I really spend the time working on my own vibration and my, what I'm bringing in to activate them. So that's really the work, and that's why it's almost hard to teach it. It's like you just connect with the child's soul and spirit, or you don't. You're forcing information, and we don't force anything. We're literally trying to find what is making each of these children tick. And I have 19 in my class. That means 19 different soul purpose and missions. And our job is to find what is their mission. Like, are they good with their hands? Is that girl going to sing, entertain? And just fuel their fires. So right now we're just in the kindling plays. Like, okay, these are like last year being outside, it was like I could see who was really good at organizing. We'd build structures and made a sukkah and a teepee and build things, or the weather came in and we took to a teepee, who can lead, who follows, who builds, who constructs, and that's why it's so cool. I'm going to be with the same children till they're like 14. So by the time they're 8th graders, I'm going to be watching their journey from 3rd to 8th going and helping them just kind of guide, kind of this. I talked to some of the parents. Some of the parents are so super woo. What my dear mom friend even surpasses my knowledge big time. And she follows me too. She's probably watching. Hello. And it's like we support each other. They see the parents that don't understand the woo. They just see that the kids they're coming home excited, and they're excited to go back, and they're excited to do things themselves. They're getting confident. Empowerment and confidence is really, I think, what educators should focus on. Just empowering the child to be their best selves, not like stuff them with info. Mm-hmm.
Does the nanny state enforce homeschooling exams and other stuff on you, or are you utterly independent?
Totally independent. I do personally with my own children. We're there, but we go through a charter, and our charter is in Orange County, and it's kind of an online thing, but we don't do any courses online. We just check in with a woman every month, show her like a work sample. And then the state, you have a budget, you get like $3,500 per child to put towards homeschool studies. My first year with them, I didn't want them in anything. I didn't want the state following anything. We were just off the radar. And then even my husband, my giant, is like, we pay the tax. We deserve that money too. And I'm like, you're right. So I wound up finding the others. Our charter teacher is so into what we're doing. She used to be in Waldorf. She as well said, so sad how they fell for the fear agenda. And so she's kind of hand holding me through this process. And when I went to her going, our high schools are limited. And she goes, well, you can always use me as a mentor to make sure you're following the credits, whatever, but build your own, do your own thing. And, I got your back. And so that's kind of exciting. So I really knew putting my hands in that. I go, most I'm trying to do and how I teach the kids is manifesting. Like, this is how I see things. I want it to go. This is not just, it has to go this way, but like, no, it already is, and it's going to be, and so it is. And then it all unfolds in front of you. So that's how I met this wonderful woman, and she's like, you got this. And the community we're in, we're having these discussions now, Lala, where we're like, we're an asset. Like, we're needed here, and we're going to be needed even more soon. So we have to start thinking of adding high school to our curriculum, or to our place, because it's only K through 8. And then, or at least develop the pods and start growing the high school side. So I'm surrounded by like minds. It's awesome. A new boy joined our class. He came from public. He came from pharma, and the parents are kind of fully that way. And but I'm like, I'm gonna find that light. I'm gonna get in there. And it took me a couple months. I almost kicked him out. But I'm like, I found it. I'm finding something in him, and something's activating. And to me, that's our purpose, is to protect and save as many children as possible, and to activate them young so that they can pave the way and, be the future.
Well, they do get a lot of pablum, prescription, by the menu crap shoved down their throat.
Yes.
So the nicest thing, I grew up in what is now deep red Bible Belt state,
Okay.
but I was very lucky. I had a bunch of teachers that treated us all like individuals
Mhm.
and could pick out what was special about each of us and encouraged it. And so while we didn't have anything resembling or even knew it could exist, like you're speaking of, it was much better than the standard fare. And
Awesome.
as I graduated from high school,
Mhm.
they all retired. I feel so sorry for those kids.
Oh, yeah. Aw. Well, I mean, it was all divinely timed, it sounds like, and divinely led. That's what I put my most faith in that. Like everything is as it should be. Let it
Yeah.
unfold. Just trust.
Yep.
And yeah, and went through the hardships, we've gone through the hard stuff. I had it really lucky as myself. That was more Midwest, but it was an affluent suburb with these schools that, anything you could dream up, there was a program for it, like, or a club. However, I was more into I was dancing and, in theater. I was busy having fun, but I couldn't tell you for the life of me what my classes were or my curriculum was. That wasn't the point. It was social for me. And so seeing what they were doing out here, I just knew I would never put my daughter in. I was like, well, she's going to be by my side, especially for her early childhood. And then I'm like, well, I'm not putting them in public. I can't afford private. So what the heck? So I feel like I had to sit with it. I had to really go still and connect and to source and be like, show me the way. This is how I envision it for my daughter, and it all opened up. And then we pivot where we have to.
Okay, so our intrepid audience has dug up the dirt. Tell us what it's like working with Bill Murray, etc.
You're so cute, Carol. Yeah, anything that rolled through the Chicago, I was always an extra in. And Groundhog Day, I was only like 15 or something. But there is, the crowd scene. There is even a crane shot in the town. You can see my coat. Like you can barely get me in that one. With Honors was another one that was Joe Pesci. And Miracle on 34th was like the actual, okay, you can see her now.
Nice.
That was a good one. That was with Richard Attenborough and Dylan McDermott. And that
That's
was
one
really
of my
fun.
favorite Christmas movies.
I love that movie. I loved the original. And then when that came through, I think I was a sophomore in college. So I just took the L down to location and brought my little sack lunch. And I was fascinated with set. The extras were usually held up in a room. They still kind of are. And you read books and you wait. And I could find out who the AD is and befriend him. And I'm like, I just want to watch. But I also wanted to be at the ready so they could put me in. So I loved being on set. That was a passion. So kids
That's great.
on set, yeah.
But now you filled it with all sorts of other creativity, which is doing the work of the Lord, and you're helping guide these children through all the things they have to go through trying to grow up.
Yes, we're still having a human experience. We're still in this meat suit and we're interacting with the muggles. That's what I say. And I just want to keep the magic alive. But also, like I said, the empowerment is a very big deal for me. It's giving them a little bit of purpose, not muting them or dumbing them down or squishing them in a box. So I know these parents are finding us. They're putting the beacon out to find us too. So we're all meant to be there at this time, and how the rest of it unfolds is cool. So though there is one little, I've worked with a little girl that I think is telekinesis. I've seen her I've seen her like knock people down on the other side of the playground. I've had another girl, we test each other, kind of read each other's minds. She'll like look at me and I'm like, are you hungry? She's like, like I'll just in our head and, just little things like that. So we play, but most of them are really unaware that they have a big purpose here to flip the planet light. So, and it's fine. And they don't walk in. I'm like, so when I was young, I do have a little boy who's very in tune. And he goes, I know you've seen some things. He goes, have you been through a portal? And then he'll be like, have you seen a Bigfoot?
Really?
Yeah. He's like, have you seen a Bigfoot? Have you seen ET? We saw it. He's just every day there's a question. And when we had the outdoor classroom, he's the same boy who said, when we'd walk up into it, and he goes, did you feel that, Miss Heidi? We walked into a portal. And I'm like, well, we really protected our space, didn't we? And one of the moms gave me a huge box of crystals and she's like, grit it out, protect your space. So we all put them all around the area and underneath our desks. And, we'd activate it every so often and you could feel it. So these kids are privy to that. They're especially privy to nature. And we have a beautiful campus where they get to play in the trees and roam and run. Every child is moving. It's special. It's special. But
I
yeah.
guarantee that you and the kids very rarely are sick because you have such good energy. I guarantee.
We
As
have,
a mom,
yeah.
the kids get sick in school a lot.
I know it's nuts. We definitely have a holistic house, but when we get hit hard, but we just know, okay, cool, we're going to be set for like 8 months. We ride the wave, we do all the doctor as much as we can, and we kill it pretty quick. So yeah, most of the families there, that's how they operate too. They get the little concoctions and witches brews, and everybody's just back to one. Plus, in my room, there's a lot of thieves. I have crystals. I Palo Santo and sage every morning. Like I'm blessing the room. I'm trying to keep the space protected. Yeah.
Very smart.
A lot of plants too.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So, have you had abduction experiences you wish to share?
Well, I have. So that time in Door County, the pier there, that just still trips me out to this day. The loss of time, the what the heck was that figure in my doorway? That I can't recall being on any ships. I can't recall active motion like that other than when I was getting put back in my bed. But was that an angelic thing? Like I can't recall a physical abduction in that sense other than waking up in terror in my bed and not being able to talk, breathe, move, anything, and just seeing this activity and having sheer fear and panic. And then, connecting with my mom the next day, that storm was crazy. And she's like, there was no storm. And it's like, what is that? And then I read Ridley Schreiber's Communion, and I think 3 times I threw that book at the wall because it was so like changed everything. The magic of the fairies and the Bigfoots went to like, oh my God, hybrid programs. And, that's what activated me as an adult, reading about the hybrid programs. Because I could tell with my mom's stuff, with my stuff, is it the DNA they're going for? What was it? All that era in the 80s, 90s of the scoops, and everybody was getting scoops and stuff
I got
across
one
the
right
planet.
here.
Yeah, I was finding crazy things.
That, and she has a implant right there that I detected with a radio frequency tester.
And
Oh,
in my
boy.
leg.
And in her leg, she has a
I've seen
different
that
kind.
one through. I was flying back and forth to Florida, and I kept setting off, I guess, the metal detector. And finally, I said, "Can I just see what you're looking at? Because I don't have anything in my pockets." And it's the size of a piece of rice. I never fell. I never had surgery. It's still, that was 20 years, over 20 years ago. I found out it's still there. We flew last year.
No.
It's crazy. It is.
So now the screens don't show you the figure,
No.
but they show you like the outline of a person and where it is.
Okay.
So you can't see any of the body clothes or anything, but you see an outline. And it was right where she told me it would be, in her left foot.
Whoa. Now, is that something you'd ever take out? Try to take out, or no? Or you?
I would be interested in learning more about it. I'm scared that, like, some people try to get it taken out and they just come back, or they move around, like, so they can't get taken out.
Yeah.
But I would want to know more about what it is, if they could help me with that.
Yeah.
I have an opinion, given my opinion is based on our current existence. She has been taken twice, at least, in this house, and I was suppressed and kept asleep until way after my normal wake up time. And we have security camera videos of a tall, non-human thing materializing in the front yard through a fog, which I think was a portal, and it walking out of it and coming up through our front door. And she had a big old triangular shaped bruise on her arm after.
I saw that in that video. Oh man, that's recent. The bruise, right?
2 years ago.
Oh, 2 years ago, the bruise. Oh
year and a
my
half
goodness.
ago. Yeah.
I had another one recently.
Jeez.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What do you think? Do you think it's DNA? Why do you think they're doing all this?
I latched on to the DNA research stuff that resonates the most. It makes sense. And however, I also, what you were saying even earlier, it's the frequency we put off, something perhaps they see our future self, there's a whole timeline going, and either they're there to thwart it or, or to keep you on track, the good versus the dark versus light. But I mean, the DNA thing makes sense, especially just weird stuff. I mean, the weird stuff with my mom, she had even the womb that disappeared, pregnant than not. And then having my own kids, I was trying, for insurance sake, I was going the route. I was using my motion picture insurance. I went to the hospital. They said, now you got to get this test. And I'm like, do I questioning things? But I, again, went to that place, like the Obi-Wan place of like, there's nothing to see here. And I was never bothered. I skirted in and out, even got to a point where like, oh, we forgot to do that for you. Oh, well. And I'm just like, so I feel like we can dodge and weave anything. But as far as what they're coming for, DNA, I guess, would align with the frequency so much, but there must be something there, a long line or past lives, maybe that's where the research into the family comes in. But if
Mhm. I was just going to say our personal experience with keeping us in line is we were on the back deck. Where we used to go try to take photos of the sky, and we always see stuff. But this time she said, hand me the big camera. Took the big camera, pointed it at the yard, not the sky, and went click. And then I looked at the photo, and inside this, what looked like fog or smoke, which there was no fog or smoke near us. But in the photo, it was there. And inside was a gigantic gray alien face.
Oh.
And it later talked to her telepathically and told us what it wanted us to do. So it was keeping us in line.
Okay. Oh boy. Yeah. Well, that resonates too. Like I have to be, that's why I started to be really mindful what I'm doing to my body and how I talk to my body, because it's like that can be so manipulated. And then you're just constantly in this. I suffered for so long of self-abuse. And then I realized that was also keeping me off track, keeping me off course from making a difference and, assisting others. They keep you stuck in this. And I think they is multi-leveled. I still think there's dark light. There's so many different players.
So let me give you the part of ours, which I'm sure, there's supposedly the good ones and the bad ones, and the good ones care a lot about free will. So it said, here's what I'd like you to do. Here's what I want you to think about. Here's how you can help us, and in return, we'll help you. But you have to agree to this.
The consent.
And we thought about it, talked to each other, and we said, we put our hands together and heads together and said, we agree to do this. And since then, our life has been interesting.
Wow.
Okay.
I gotta flip the roast.
Pot roast. She has to post flip the raw pot roast. And you can put the vegetables.
I love it. That's that 3D human experience. Hi, Bauer. I see you. Hi, Daryl. Hi, Carol. That's great.
Yeah, it's been quite an interesting. So when I was 3, I woke up, walked into where my mother and her best friend were entertaining each other, and I walked over to the bookshelf, picked up a book, and started reading it to them. So it was a savant-like download.
Wow. Yeah.
So all the way through past 18, I had multiple savant-like downloads.
Wow.
And then when I was 18 and decided what I was going to do in school, that obviously didn't fit. So I had an hour and a half of missing time while they must have spanked me for an hour and a half. And when I got back, I changed majors in schools. I went from pre-medicine to mathematics, engineering, and physics.
Wow.
And that's what I've done the rest of my life.
Holy smokes. Wow.
I
get it. I get the download for sure. Some of my best stuff was channel writing. Like I love channel writing. I have just stacks since I was a kid. So I still figuring out what to do with all that. Stopped when I became a mom. So I guess that'd be great to pick that up again. But I get it. I get when you change course or, again, with being tapped into a certain frequency and asking for help, you'll get the answers. I think
Bauer's right. DNA is the blockchain.
Blockchain of it. Yeah, there you go. Hey, Bauer. Oh, oh, totally. Yeah, and then the whole voice of skull. There's so many different things that I try to get to the root, and that goes with our sicknesses. That goes with how a child operates. What is the root here, the root cause? And I truly feel we are powerful. We are really powerful in the energy and frequency we put off. And if we keep ourselves at a certain bit, it's like we can navigate hell of a lot easier. We can seek the guidance we seek, from all of the kingdoms, animal kingdom, all the places. I remember being so confused and lost about something, but being in a very good headspace, trusting, loving, feeling good. And then the sign, like I went out for a walk, the signs were everywhere, literally pointing, like from a song, you overhear a car go by, and then the way the street sign was, I was just like crying. I'm like, okay, I hear you. The universe, like, all working together to assist. But then you start going, just the basic morals and rules of humanity, or hurting another, or thinking ill will, or it gets darker, and then the choices get weirder, and interference comes in, and you can play that way and see there is something bigger here. There is something way bigger. However, I am a powerful being and I can play.
So, I want to talk to you about paranormal experiences right after I tell you our major ones. So when we had known each other for a while, and we were working on, I was working on trying to figure out what she is and how she does it. And then I figured out she had been abducted many, many times, hundreds of times, missing time. Okay, so we decided that we would be in a relationship, and we moved into this house together in Maryland. Shortly after, we started having poltergeist activity. Things move, things unplug, things go missing, and then we find them. She would take the dowsing rods to find the things that had been moved. So anyway, I put up a security camera so I could see if I could catch any of this. So it was one of these that is infrared at night, turns to color during the day. So it's two something in the morning. You hear walking, which triggered the recording. You see a light switch flip on. It goes from night to daytime mode, and a shimmering figure walks by, and then electronic voice phenomenon as perfect as anything you've ever heard in your life. Says hello to her son from his deceased father.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing. So after that, it was like, okay, all of this stuff is real. I knew she was reading my family, but this stuff is just more real. So since then, I have really been dedicated to two things: understanding consciousness and how all of that works, and improving my own consciousness situation, therapy, whatever I needed. I've been doing it. And then also, I'm always been a physicist and a mathematician. So now I'm working on how does it work? How do they get here? Because I think we're flying them around, so we know something. And I don't like secrets, so I'm going to work it out for them and tell everybody.
That's awesome. Yes, do it.
Yeah. So anyway, tell us about it. If you have had paranormal experiences that you identify as such, tell us about them.
Yeah. What would my dad passed in 2018, and it was super series of unfortunate events. Like, in my opinion, he should still be here. He would still be here, but I know how things work. So just the first thing that popped in my head, because I think about him, is as far as someone who crossed over. I was volunteering at Dimension Disclosure in Ventura. It was 2019, and that was August. It was like 5 days after I eloped with my giant, and he's like, go, those are your people. And so anyway, I'm just having this high vibratory experience, all these great things. And I have I had a cargo Sprinter for my work truck. And but I brought it with me because didn't have a second vehicle, and that was my car. So anyway, I'm leaving the event, I'm driving home, and I just started thinking about my dad, and I was just like, man, like, he would have been proud of me, like the conversations I was having, how brave I've been, and I just thought of him, I go, dang, Dad, you'd be proud of me. And it was like the back of my truck I heard "Way to go, Hyde." He was "Way to go, Hyde," which is what he used to say all the time. He went to all my events and everything, and I almost got off the road. I turned around thinking he was here, and that's how clear it was. And I was like doing this, like there's somebody here, and it wasn't. And it just had this warmth. I could smell him. I had this presence of like, I'm with you. I'm always with you, and just keep shining bright. And so, hour and a half ride home, just bawling, happy, feeling tapped in, and just giddy in that sense. But as far as all the other little bits, I mean, I'm there. It depends on what state of mind I'm in. Not like being uh drunk or anything, but like positive or negative, because there'll be experiences where I'll see something and I'll freak the F out. The shadowy figure or the tall man or skinny man or whatever. I've been walking my stairs once and I feel a presence and I feel the wind. I feel like a presence right behind me. And I revert back to what my mom told me. We didn't grow up religious. In fact, we were schooled to learn all of them, just like, this is how they do things, but we're sovereign. We're student of the universe. So anyway, I turned around and I went, I am Christ's child. And I like did this push, and a plant off the end of the stairs, the leaves were like moving. And there's no way my push would have done that as far as I was, but I just felt like, okay, I was able to move whatever was this that felt dark, that felt invasive, that wasn't supposed to be there. I got to, move it out of the way. But I knew something was in our home because our home felt dark. It just didn't feel right. So after doing that, I just started doing this little thing my friend used to walk me through, just this personal meditation of clearing your field really quick. And then almost like a Care Bear, just pushing that energy out and around the house. And we slept like babies that night for the first time. So I'm like, how long was that little fucker here? Like that kind of bit I can think of. There's been times where I've run into people literally when I did craft service. I would grocery shop at all hours of the night because I was the snack lady on set basically. But there was a time when I was having a tough time. Like one of those times where I'm like, my baby, the dad he just walked away from us basically. But I was just like hurting, and I was looking for strength that day. It was like I should have been with my babies. I think one of them was even homesick with a babysitter. I'm like, this isn't how it's supposed to be. I was just sad. So I'm there and it's like 5 a.m. I knew all the Kroger people, but there was just this woman that looked like she'd been shopping forever. She had a full cart, but like a grandma lady. And I'm just walking by, I'm just like in my zone. And she just put her hand on me physically. It was like, everything is going to be okay. You're a wonderful mother. Like, I'm going to cry right now. And I just felt everything wash off of me. And I was so like, I can get through the day. And I just started deep breathing. And I went around and I went to the cashier and I'm talking and I go, "What did you open earlier today? That lady's the full cart." She goes, "You're the only one in here. Nobody's here." And I'm just like, "Oh, that was for me." So I don't know who that was, but thanks, lady. Because I felt like I can get through the day. My daughter will be okay. I'm doing the best I can, So that was kind of sweet. That was like 2016 or 17. Those are my hardest years. Those were like I was 42, my little come to Jesus years. So yeah, there's that. Yeah, I could go on. We need another show.
I love this, and I think that we do get visits when they know when we really need it, and they do come through. And I think I consider it like family coming to visit us in a way. We might not know what they are, but it's like family,
Yeah.
Also, sorry for keeping my mic on. If I cuss because I dropped the spatula, I apologize.
No, you left it in here.
No, I had it on my shirt.
Oh, did you? Oh, okay. Oh dear, you cuss. Oh, there's a shock.
Two questions. Again, I have ADD, so
I love it. That's right.
One is when you work with children, like with my son, do you ever work with children who've had trauma? Like we lost his father, and he's like us. He has gifts that aren't tapped into, and that's fine. I want him to be as normal as he can for as long as he can until it comes on stronger when he gets older. But what do you do for that? How do you talk to them and kind of gently heal that and gently bring it out in them?
Yes, teacher, tell us how to teach.
Well, because a lot of people go through traumas with their children.
Yes.
And,
Yeah. Well, we endured the trauma of like the dad, the walkaways, and just crazy things of that nature. But I'll think of it if it wasn't my own child. The first thing coming, I would just get a read on them energetically. Like, what are they able to hear? What can they receive right now? And again, it's always working with that empowerment. Like, you are bigger than you realize and stronger than you realize. But getting to read a where a child at. If you're talking to your child directly, if they become ready, I feel like they're going to start getting the hits to ask questions. So making a safe space for a child, just to know that you are someone to trust, you are someone. It's not just hearing the information and then just going to go share it to everybody, but they're gonna know your energy too if they can really talk to you and ask you special things. But if it was someone in my class, let's say, like that one girl, she is like 2 years ago, the one, the telekinesis girl, she is so tapped into the point that it's almost she rolls her eyes. She's kind of like, I've been here so many times, like you know, you're trying to tell me things. She was really like not wanting to learn a damn thing. She's learning as she goes, and she put me in my place. But someone fragile, someone new, someone really sensitive to energy, and I'm like, gosh, are they picking up on something else? I make sure I position myself nearby when I feel them get a little off kilter. And that's not being like, oh, is everything okay? It's not jumping in on them. It's just, even if it's a hand on the shoulder, like that woman did to me, because that's an energy transfer. Even if it's just eye contact, looking down, like, how are you doing? How are you doing? Really? Just that connection, a frequency connection is sometimes all a child needs to let a download come in, or to let that moment happen for them. But it's more, being a teacher, I don't think I'm in a place to overstep a parent or overstep a child when they're ready. It's really just doing a lot of this, like,
Yeah.
you guys good? Are we okay? Oh, someone's cracking open. Let's, feel them up a little bit, and recognizing them, recognizing the
Yes.
girl that knocked that kid down. I saw what you did there. And she's like, and I'm like, you can use that for good. You don't have to knock down the boy that took your pencil. You can be using that for other reasons. And just the sheer fact that I caught on to the moment, you could see her kind of check herself. And it was like, oh. And I go, what if you help someone get out of the way of a car, or, do something, I don't know,
Right.
more important, more than just tripping a boy you don't like. I think I shared too many thoughts at once. I don't even know if I actually answered your question, but it would
No,
be
you
case
did.
by case, huh?
Yeah, no, you definitely did, because I don't want to push too hard. And also, my other business is face painting, and I work with a lot of kids, and
Yeah,
we're sharing
beautiful.
energies, and I've been doing it almost 8 years now, and I never realized how much it's almost like a therapy to them.
It's spiritual therapy,
And also, they needed to
Totally.
talk to somebody.
and they really need it.
The kids have told me things in a brief
Yeah.
moment that are very deep.
Yes, they picked up on you.
You.
They're like, she's safe. I can talk to her. And that's
Right.
you putting out the right field for
And
them.
some of it's tough. Some of it's tough.
Wow. Yeah.
And so with them, it's easier for me, because I almost feel like I'm more gentle with them, and with him, I just want to, like, are you okay? Let me hold you.
I know. We can't help that.
You know
It's your
what I
baby.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to work on it, but
Yeah. But the
I
fact
know
that you do that with kids, I bet you see also them, I noticed this when I was working with my kids making puppets. It's like their little altars come out, or like a past life, or like just little character work that comes out. So I bet people who do their face, you probably see them make choices that you're like, well,
Yeah.
that's interesting. I think they're trying to communicate something through their choices of what to
It's
put on their face.
true. It's
Mhm.
very true. It's very cool. I always know who it's going to be a tiger. They have that energetic thing. What's wrong? Oh, it's been an hour. Man.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Bear,
All
don't
right.
fix me.
Can we come? Can we have you back in a couple
And
weeks?
we can go the other way
Totally.
too. Whatever you want, we'll do it.
Absolutely.
I
Yes.
mean, we'll simulcast just like this, so it doesn't matter your place or our place.
Okay. Yeah, we'll do both. I'll send you some dates. Cool. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for coming on. And if you wanted to, if you have a website or you want to promote anything or your show, Can you please let everybody know now what that is?
Sure. I would love to say I'm consistent and have a regular thing, but I pop on randomly, which I think drives people crazy. I love to do vlogs. I'm trying to do that every week, at least to share. Like we go back to the classroom Monday after our break. I like to share a little recap of what worked that week, what we're going through. I'll share little special stories. And I do share that. I'm on YouTube and Rumble and I think X still. But my link tree has everything. Linktree/Heidi Popp. I think you had that in the description. And I'm not, I'll have the ideas brewing, but really it's just trying to be my best self and inspire and empower. And that's what I'm working
Everybody
on.
should go. Everybody should go to Heidi Popp's. What is your Facebook new name?
It's the new name rebooted. Yeah,
Heidi
I'm
Popp reboot,
rebooted.
and see what she calls giant. He really is a giant.
Giant. You see that picture? Yeah.
Heidi, it was so much fun, and I look forward to our future interactions.
Me too. Me too. Thank you very much. And thank you,
Thank
Chad.
you. It was so much fun.
Thanks,
Bye
Lala.
bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.